Hello everyone, this is your host Naima Hussain. Thank you, our distinguished guest, esteemed colleagues and fellow job seekers for joining today's webinar. This is our first webinar in this year's Tech Webinar series. Today's topic is Importance of Soft Skills in Professional Career. Before starting the webinar, I would like to welcome our current president of AABEA Great Lakes chapter, Afroza Akhtar Apu.
Thank you, Naima. Thank you to each one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you that have been with AABEA for a long time now, as well as those who are now new to the AABEA. We are introducing a new series of monthly webinars every third Saturday of the month from 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will bring different topics for professional development as well as technical seminar from industry leaders and scholars. I am sure you will feel enriched with knowledge after each session. Feel free to give us your feedback. Thank you for joining once again. Without further ado, I am giving it back to Naima.
Thank you, Afroza Akhtar Apu. Now I am going to introduce our Now, I'm going to introduce our guest. Somehow it skipped one of the slides.
No worries.
Our first guest today is Abu Ashraf. Mr. Abu Ashraf is an engineering group manager for chassis control system safety teams at General Motors. He joined General Motors as a fresh graduate in 2005 and worked on various levels of software production lifecycle in body controls, HVAC systems, and released chassis electronic software and hardware. He achieved software validation journeyman and DFSS black belt certification while working as a software subject matter expert for vehicle infotainment system and cross-functional electronics. He held various leadership roles in GM, including vehicle system engineer for autonomous vehicle, validation program manager, and HIL/SIL test automation lead before becoming a people leader. He has been active member since the beginning of AABEA Michigan chapter and served as president in 2019-2020 term. Mr. Ashraf earned MSc degree in 2004 from Michigan Technology University in computer science, specializing in software engineering, and MBA in 2017 from Oakland University. Besides professional life, he is actively involved in various social organizations and loves to spend time with his family. Thank you, Abu Ashraf Bhai, for joining us today. Our next, sorry, go ahead, Bhaiya.
No, I was going to say just thank you for the wonderful welcome. No, thank you.
Thank you, Bhaiya. Now I'm going to introduce our second guest today, Ashik Yusuf. Mr. Ashik Yusuf graduated from Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology in 1992 with a BSc in Mechanical Engineering. He worked as a lecturer in BUET for 1 year. Then he studied at Oklahoma State University to obtain MSc in Industrial Engineering. He came to Michigan and started as a design engineer at CDA Engineering for 2.5 years. Went over to automotive industry in 1992, worked as process engineer, quality manager at Cadillac Products, a tier 1 supplier to GM, FCA, Ford, Nissan, etc. Ashik switched to appliance industry in 2007 and worked as a procurement engineer for Whirlpool Corp. Then he worked as a quality director for an aluminum extrusion company, AACOA, for a few months. Since then, he joined Eaton Corporation as a supplier development engineer and still with Eaton. Ashik has led quality organization on high volume, high yielding product launch, supplier quality excellence, quality through continuous improvements, successful implementation of quality procedures and methodologies, proactively drove corrective and preventive actions, cost reduction and capability studies, specialize in auditing suppliers, supplier development, and critical to quality characteristics management. Ashik is ASQ certified, Quality Engineer, ASQ Certified Reliability Engineer, ASQ Certified Six Sigma Black Belt, ASQ Certified Manager of Quality Organizational Excellence, PMP from PMI. Thank you, Ashik Yusuf Bhai, for joining us today.
Thank you, Naima, for the kind introduction.
Now we will dive into the presentation. Before diving into the presentation, I would like to let everyone know that if you have any question, please use the raise hand icon, or you can also ask question in the Zoom chat. So please, let's start the presentation with Abu Ashraf Bhai.
Thank you, Naima. So let me start my screen, sharing my screen. So if you see it, please confirm. Do you guys see it?
Not yet. I think it's starting to come up there.
Okay. So go back to the previous slide. So to learn about, so now we're going to talk about what is soft skill and give you a little bit of highlights, very high level. Okay, a little bit of background before we get to a specific topic. So to learn about soft skills, we need to know what hard skill is actually, and then differentiate that from soft skills. Next slide, I have a video, short video that will go through the whole idea briefly. So hard skill is something that you learn at school, some hands-on skills that you use to perform your job. It helps you to do your work on your own. But soft skill is something, on the other hand, it's very crucial. And to be able to work with people, you need soft skills. It helps you to be successful at work when you're working with people. We become more effective when we're good at it. So it's very important. And most importantly, soft skills are the one that helps you get a job and also keep your job. Now, soft skills, to be successful professionally, we need to pay equal attention to soft skills as well as hard skills. It is not only helpful at work, but also helpful to be successful and happy in your social and family life, because we are social beings and we need to interact with people all the time. So soft skills are very crucial to be successful in life overall. Let's watch this video. This is a short video, 1 minute and 38 seconds, just to get a clear picture on this subject. I'll pause here just to make sure. If you don't listen to the voice, please let me know, okay?
Okay, class, turn to page 94 in your soft skills textbooks. You've probably never heard that before, have you? So why are soft skills important now? Throughout your life, you will be in school learning skills and information you need to pursue a job, such as mathematics, science, literature, history, art, and much more. But you don't walk into an interview immediately spitting out equations and scientific formulas, do you? Of course not. You show up on time, smile, shake a hand, be polite and respectful. These are soft skills. Whether you realize it or not, your soft skills are constantly impacting your life, your relationships at home, your school or work experience so far. Research shows that only 15% of worker success is determined by what they know, hard skills. The other 85% of success is determined by soft skills.
I work in our congressional office. A lot of what we did was serving people in the community. That means you having a great handshake, a great smile, are you following up, are you getting information? It's the attention to detail. So that's what's going to get you noticed. That's what's going to get you promoted.
Whether you are applying for the career of a lifetime or a small part-time summer job, good knowledge of soft skills is necessary to your success in that workplace. People can get promotions or get fired depending on how well they work in teams, communicate, and organize. It's called being an involver. That is the answer to why soft skills. They aren't just a set of skills. They can be a lifestyle preparing you for a brighter future. Be involved in your success with microburst learning, employability soft skills.
Okay. So once again, soft skills are necessary when you're interacting with people. Let's move on to the next slide. So what are soft skills, really. So I did a little bit of research. Now, many experts try to put a bunch of lists together. What are the most valuable soft skills? And they try to categorize them based on its importance and effectiveness. Sometimes you see orders, not necessarily, 10 is less important than number 1, to my viewpoint. And I looked at, collected 3 different resource, and then found commonalities between them or among them. Most of them are related to each other. You'll see common, terminologies on those. So you don't need to be an expert on one or all of them to be successful. Rather, being aware of them and have the curiosity to improve in whatever it makes you feel like improving will give you a boost. So knowing them is the step 1, right? What are those soft skills? Then I'm going to go through a couple other tips, next slides, but it really depends on your career ambition, where you want to improve. Maybe you're good at something and you need to improve on other things. So it really depends on you. You need to look for the balance. Since soft skills is a broad topic, so we'll only focus on a few today. Most commonly, you can see all 3 of them is talking about communication, and then other one we saw another important soft skill that we really need at our work, we deal with day-to-day basis, is conflict management. So I'll try to cover communication skills at a very high level, and our guest speaker, Mr. Ashik Yusuf, will go over conflict management today. So we'll try to keep enough time, like Naima said, towards the end for Q&A, and maybe we can continue to do this session to cover more of those if there are further interest in this topic. So I'll spend the rest of my assigned time slot to communication skills, and as you know, I'm not a communication expert myself, nor have I have a degree in communication, but I'll try to give you the perspective from what a people leader look for in employees when they're measuring success based on my knowledge. So when you think about communication skills, there are 7 C you can try to keep in your mind thinking about it. And those are being clear, concise, concrete, correct, complete, courteous, and considerate. And I remember from my personal experience in one of the interview, one of the hiring manager gave me a feedback when my interview didn't go well. They said, when you talk, try to be clear and concise. So I remember those 2 words from that point of view. And then also when we are communicating with people, verbal is not the main communication, right? You can see 35% of the communication is verbal, and the rest of them, 65%, are non-verbal. Non-verbal is what? Facial expression, tone of voice, movement, appearance, eye contact, gestures, postures. Those are all communication. As long as as soon as we are in front of another person, in a conversation, or we're communicating, everything is communication. So you can also over communicate, under communicate, you can miscommunicate depending on how you do it. So our goal is to be in the balance, right? Try to be just right. So a couple of tips I collected, when I was doing research. I'm actually learning about communication by doing this session too. A lot of things I learned myself. So use simple and straightforward language. You don't have to be over communicated by adding a lot of details. You just go precisely what you're trying to convey. Make your point one at a time, and then look for feedback. You can be brief and specific. Don't bundle a lot of information. When you're especially talking, use pause. And if you're using a long sentence, try a shorter sentence afterwards, and then go another long sentence. So alter, so you can, then your listener is actually going with you, following you. Too much information, people get lost. Have a positive body language, right? We know about this. This is soft skills. You can be talking very sadly and sharing a good story. It will not work. So you have to talk the talk and walk the walk. Try to avoid, like I said right now, so try to avoid those filter words. Then, I mean, try to avoid those as much as possible. Alter them with a pause, maybe practice more, that will help. Maintain face-to-face contact. So nowadays, we do at work, actually working from home, we use a lot of non-face-to-face conversation. Sometimes maybe it is personal. I prefer to have my video on when I'm talking to people so I can see them. Maybe this is for my job, it's necessary. I want to see when I'm sharing something or conveying or getting, I need some feedback from my team members. But others, maybe they feel shy, they don't want to share. Maybe this is just technical conversation. You don't need to see each other's face. But I think, having face-to-face, having some eye contact, looking at how, if the people is receiving your verbal communication or your information you're sharing or not. So looking at that person actually gives you a lot of feedback. Show respect to the speaker. So, obviously you don't want to interrupt unnecessarily. And then also some, gestures, like you're looking at your watch while someone is talking, you're kind of giving a feedback that, like, I'm getting late, slow down or short it, maybe we can come back later. Those are, you can use positively, sometimes it goes negatively too. Your cell phone is buzzing and somebody's calling and you say, okay, hold on a second. And somebody was just middle of a conversation and you stop that person. So those are interruption. So watch out for those. And communication, I think there may be other charts you'll find in the internet. Majority of the communication is listening, okay? Because speaking is just the conveying part, the last part. Communication is actually listening, understanding, processing, and then saying it, what you want to say. So just, speaking is not the listening, processing. So there is a process. Also keep in mind, communication is two-way conversation. It's not like one person talking. There are different, one-way, two-way communication. We can go through details if needed. But a successful communication is when you're both parties sharing and then understanding each other. Now, these are a couple of key communication skills, not necessarily they're in one category, verbal and written. Verbal and written are the main communication skills that we know of, but there's many other. And no means, they are on one side or the other. In weight-wise, one is heavier than the other. No, I didn't try to do that. I just put those in there, just those are eye-catching. Verbal and written is obviously the number one communication skills, but then like right at the bottom, non-verbal communication is also very important. Teamwork, collaboration in a group. This is the way to be successful nowadays. We can talk about it in the Q&A. Providing and accepting feedback. I mentioned, I cannot emphasize enough on feedback. Feedback is your gauge, right? How are you doing? Maybe I'm talking, but nobody's actually getting it. I'm spending a lot of time, but I'm not getting any feedback. How did I do? Maybe I should have emphasized on something more than the others. Communicating with empathy. This is also another, soft skill. And we can do some research on the difference between sympathy and empathy. Empathy is really your feeling for that person, not just showing off that, okay, I know, I see, but you're really, you're sharing the same kind of environment you dealt with in the past, so the other person feel comfortable talking to you. So there's a lot of sensitivity there. Listening, right? I think listening is number one. Interpersonal skills, that's also another useful communication skills. Some people are good at this, some people are not, but don't just step back that, okay, I'm not good with interacting with people, especially with people that I don't know. We can talk about a little bit on the extrovert and introvert, afterwards. Public speaking, presentation, this is also something some people don't feel comfortable with, but those are key skills that you need to be good at to be successful at your professional life. Practice, practice, practice. First you learn about it, practice. And from my personal point of view, I just put together a few bullet points. I think, in many other, not necessarily soft skills, but leadership skills, they talk about everything starts from myself, right? So you start looking at yourself first, measure yourself compared to all those communication skills. Which ones are you're comfortable with, which one you're not. So look for the ones that you are good at. Okay, start from your strength. I know, many of us came from different, a school system where they really focus on your weakness. If you're not good at something, they put a lot of emphasis on that, and you have to do good math and so and so. If you're not communicating, they keep you pushing, talking to people. But I think the best way to improve yourself is to focus on your strength. Whatever you're good at, pay attention to that, use that more. Emphasizing more on your strength actually helps work on your weakness as well. It works together. Develop digital body language. We recently had a lunch and learn at work, talk about digital body language. Right now, we don't talk the talk, we actually write the talk. We do a lot of chatting, a lot of messaging, Facebook, a lot of messaging there. So the way you use those, the way a lot of shortcuts people use nowadays, and then the way you express, use your question mark, ... exclamatory signs. It means something nowadays. So pay attention to those. If you don't know, do some research. Maybe we can go through those in details later. Communication is successful only when the information is delivered effectively. Otherwise, look for the feedback, right? How did I do? People are uniquely different. Many people are introvert versus extrovert. There was a research done in 1921, long time ago. Carl Jung, he's a psychologist and psychiatrist. So he invented this idea of people being introvert versus extrovert. So how do they communicate? So we need, if this is something like, if you think, many of us, we think, I'm introvert. I don't feel comfortable talking to people who I don't know. So how do introvert people interact? Maybe we should know that. And then how does extrovert people think? Sometimes we think someone is talking a lot in a meeting, things like, this person is showing up, but maybe not. This is how this person interacts. This is how he has been developed. So let's read through this. So extrovert people, they prefer to talk loud and, sort through their ideas ahead of time, communicate freely with anyone about themselves, so they don't feel shy. They're visibly gregarious. They're like always get your attention. Prefer communicating on the telephone or in person. They don't get, how they're doing. Sometimes I see my team member, they prefer sending an email or chatting. Did you call? No, I will call. Let me see if he's replied. No, it's okay. You can, this is how they are. They don't want to, they're introvert. Usually prefer getting input from, from as many people as possible. So they're okay reaching out to people. So this is how they work. Not necessarily they're doing anything wrong or right. Compared to that, introvert people thinks through, they pay attention ahead of time, they speak after confirmation, so they know what they're talking about. Openly talk about themselves with people they know and trust. They're keen people, family members or friends, they're open. But then if you put them in an open environment or in a meeting where you don't know people, you stay quiet. I could be one of those, some cases. Visibly stay in the background, don't speak up. Prefer to communicate in writing, including email and exchange. Prefer one-on-one conversation over meeting. So not necessarily they are not a good engineer, right? So those are the things we need to pay attention to when we're interacting with other people. So I think I think this is my last slide. So I will stop here and give some time for Mr. Ashik Yusuf to go through his content, and then we can come back to Q&A. If we need to revisit some topics, we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashraf, for your presentation. It always helps. We practice those things, but a refresher always helps. So let me, I'm going to go through my slides. It should take 6 to 7 minutes. Let me bring it up. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll focus on one of the soft skills, that is conflict resolution. I came across this article not too long ago and thought it was very much applicable to the day-to-day things we do. So let me go through this and then we'll entertain questions at the end. Conflict resolution is, conflict is inevitable when you are leading a project. So it's a good idea to plan your conflict management and resolution process in advance. The types of conflict that can be dysfunctional or functional. Dysfunctional conflict means that it has become personal. And functional conflict means that the team is focusing on the problem and not on each other. These two professors, Dr. Kenneth Thomas and Dr. Ralph Kilman, developed this model called Thomas-Kilman model, to handle conflicts. According to them, a conflict situation is are those which the concerns of two people appear to be incompatible. In such conflict situations, we can describe an individual's behavior along two dimensions. On the x-axis, you have the assertiveness, and on the y-axis, you have the cooperativeness. On assertiveness, the extent to which a person attempts to satisfy his own concerns. High assertive means, they are trying to satisfy their own concerns. And then on the cooperativeness, likewise, high cooperatives means they're attempting to satisfy the other person's concerns. So these two underlying dimensions of human behavior, assertiveness and cooperativeness, can then be used to define 5 different modes for responding to conflict situations. You'll have the source here at the bottom. If you want, you can go there and review, further details on this topic, but I have the source right there. And let me go into each quadrant of, each 5 modes of conflict resolution modes. First one is the competitive. It's on the lower right quadrant, and it's assertive and uncooperative. An individual pursues his own concerns at the other person's expense. This is a power-oriented mode in which you use whatever power seems appropriate to win your own position. Your ability to argue your rank or economic sanctions. Next, I'll go to the accommodating mode quadrant. This is unassertive and cooperative, the complete opposite of competitive. When accommodating, the individual neglects his own or her own concerns to satisfy the concerns of the other person. There is an element of self-sacrifice in this mode. Accommodating might take the form of selfless generosity or charity, obeying another person's order when you would prefer not to, or yielding to another's point of view. Next, I'll go to the avoiding quadrant. This mode talks about, is on the low side, low assertiveness and low cooperative. The person neither pursues his own concerns nor those of the other individual. Thus, he or she does not deal with the conflict. Avoiding might take the form of diplomatically sidestepping an issue, postponing an issue until a better time, or simply withdrawing from a threatening situation. Next, I'll go to the collaborating quadrant. Here is high cooperation and high assertiveness, the complete opposite of avoiding. Collaborating involves an attempt to work with others to find some solution that fully satisfies their concern. I highlighted fully satisfies, keep that in your mind. It means digging into an issue to pinpoint the underlying needs and wants of the two individuals. Next, I'll go to the compromising, it's in the middle. and it's moderate in both assertiveness and cooperativeness. The objective is to find mutually acceptable solution that partially satisfies both parties. Again, highlighted partially, just to tell you, the difference between collaboration and compromising. We really should go for collaboration. A corporate problem, work, conflicts at work, we need to deep dive and completely solve it, not partially. In some situations, compromising might mean splitting the difference between two positions, exchanging concessions, or seeking a quick middle ground solution. Again, it's not optimum, but it's necessary at times to look for the middle ground. In conclusion, each of us is capable of using all 5 conflict handling modes. None of us can be characterized as having a single style of dealing with conflict, but certain people use some modes better than others and therefore tend to rely on these modes more heavily than others, whether because of temperament or practice. To me, I concluded that collaboration mode is the right mode to completely resolve a conflict, which may not be possible all the time, but that's the gold standard. Competitive mode is necessary at times to break the gridlock. A team of people not agreeing and not able to move forward, the manager needs to say, hey, let's go with this. So it is necessary at times. Compromising mode is widely used, but keep in mind it does not resolve the problem completely. Accommodating mode has the danger of burnout for a person, always helping others and not able to complete their own work. I have fallen into that mode at times, and I had to come out of it. Avoiding mode needs to be used judiciously. Well, we do use it. An email comes asking for your help, you kind of ignore it, and then when it's time, you address it. So again, that's really all I have. I think we can go into the question and the discussion mode. Thank you. I'll get out of sharing here.
Thank you, Ashik Yusuf Bhai and Abu Bhai, for your well thought out topic discussion. It was really wonderful. Now I would like to request everyone to ask their question, raise hand, put the question in the chat, anything works. Yeah, we have our first question in the chat, Sadia from Sadia Afrin. Her question is, I have started my career right after my graduation, and now it's almost 2 months in my job. Even though I believe I am doing good, still sometimes I think I'm kind of stressed while I'm talking, thinking if I am saying something in an appropriate manner or no. How can I get over the stress? My teammates are very nice, supportive, and supervisor is very caring.
Very good question. Who's gonna, Shukun, you wanna take a hit first? Or?
Well, it's very normal what you are going through. That's and don't worry too much about it. Ask, if you have a manager, you can bounce off, like on the side, you can ask him or her that, hey, how am I interacting with the team? Is there any improvements that I need to make? Those kind of feedback will make you more comfortable. And I mean, for me, I started working on the floor, on the factory floor, and was not very good with communication, and then I kind of took a position where I had to run a meeting, and these are all your colleagues and very supportive, and through that process, I gained confidence, So that's one technique or idea I can share with you. Ashraf, you want to comment anything on that?
Very nicely said, Shunbhai. So that's what we do, right? We start with socializing with our team members. So since it is 2 months already, and nowadays it's very difficult to do it online, right? We are working from home. Socializing is very difficult. So what I do, I give the opportunity to my team members to meet every week, at least for once a week. We talk about nothing, nothing about work. So you just talk about something happening over the weekend or anything you're, doing after work, just to socialize. So if you have those opportunities, have some stories prepared, share your story, they will make you feel comfortable. And also when you have opportunity to go, personally work next to someone, so develop that relationship. I think you cannot just do that all of a sudden. It's going to take some time. You start with making working relationship with your colleagues one at a time. Maybe you work with your direct lead that you're working with first, understanding each other. Maybe you can think about going at work in person. That will help. Then go to lunch with them. I think socializing, one word for that is try to socialize with your team members unrelated to work. That will build that working relationship, be friend with them, and then work is nothing but just another conversation.
And I would like to welcome others to comment, right? I mean, it's not going to be just two of us, talking here. So yeah, others have good idea, please share.
I have some idea. My name is Adia Haq. So most of the people probably working online now. So there is not much opportunity to socialize face to face. What my experience is like, I generally when I chat with my group mate or other team member outside of my team, I generally don't actually specifically talk about work all the time. Sometimes I say, how are you? How is your day going? Or something other things that might relax or may have a good friendly relationship with them. So what I try to say that I don't focus on the chatting with them about only work. I also write some extraneous thing as well. That's why you actually build a relationship day by day. It's not, those kind of relationship cannot be built up in one day. It's like over the time with your teammate and the teammate member from outside of your team.
Good points. Thank you. Good points.
Chansima, just to build on that, yeah, my experience, I have, you can set up, like small lunch outings with your coworkers. In our group, we also do online activities, like an hour a month. We play card games and things like that. This is nothing but just building relationship with your coworkers, right? Because sometimes when you ask for help, you kind of have to know, I mean, if that relationship is there, it gets easier, just like what Ashraf said, right? So I think sometimes you have to go outside of your comfort zone a little bit and be the first to set up something. I always go to lunch out with my coworkers once every month. We just set up place and we go out to lunch, even if it's just for coffee or whatever. Just that's mostly, building relationship, right? That makes it easier to get work done.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
Sorry, go ahead, please.
No, that's also a very good point, actually. Yeah, if we have opportunity working at the site nowadays, probably it's hybrid. So,
but even not if there's no opportunity to meet people, you can always do something online, right? It doesn't always have to be Zoom, Skype meeting like we do at work, or Teams meeting. It can also be just a meeting to discuss just other things, right? Or just even play games. Like I said, in our group, we play games once a month, and that's just to know each other. Because, for 2 years, we haven't seen faces of people that we work with, right? So it's kind of unfortunate, because when you're in an office environment, it helps you build those relationships. Unfortunately, now it doesn't. So we kind of have to do things that are not the normal process, but something outside of the normal process, just to help with that relationship building.
Yes, that is what you have said. That is a very good idea. Yeah, I follow the same thing, similar thing. Thank you.
I also want to add something here. Normally, whenever I have any problem or anything, instead of chatting, I always call them. So when I'm talking in like face, like I always turn my video on. So it feels like I'm talking with them like face to face, and always other than the problem I'm having, I also bring something like personal, like how are they feeling, if like the family is good, is there any issue, something like that. So that also helps do the socialization, because we can't go to office right now. So just bringing some topic when I'm discussing my problems. Yeah.
I asked the question basically. So I want to add something here that my teammates are kind of, they are working here for like 30 years, 40 years. So there is a big generation gap. Even though I talk a lot, still sometimes it makes me feel like they are, I mean, we have a very long gap in our ages. So if they are very forgiving though, still sometimes I think if I'm doing something in a correct way, they are expecting me to do, maybe they are not saying it. So that's where the confusion comes.
Yeah, so let me just add something here. So I might fall in that category of old, like you said. I've been in the company for a long time, right? There is no harm in you asking someone for someone else to be your mentor. Okay, so I am in my group, I am mentoring 2 people right now, right? Just, we just, set a time during the day and we just talk about things, anything. It can be personal, professional, whatever, right? So when I started my career, I had 2 mentors. So, you can reach out to them and say, hey, can you be my mentor? And they'll help you professionally, how, and those kind of relationships are important, just because, it helps you, discuss with people things that are very difficult to discuss with, right? And then it can be a mentor in your group, it can be a mentor outside of your group, but feel free to reach out and ask someone to be your mentor at work. It helped me, and like I said, I'm mentoring people right now, and we talk about anything, right? It doesn't have to be just work related. It can be other, other things as well. That's just been something that has helped me. I thought I would share.
Thank you, Apu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sadia, for your question. I will now move to the next question. We already have some more questions there. So the next question is, what are the differences in office environment between Bangladesh and USA, and how to cope with the new environment?
It is best someone who actually worked in Bangladesh and never worked in Bangladesh. I don't know the
So
difference.
I have worked just a year, and that was a long time ago. So I don't know the criteria now, but I feel as if in Bangladesh there's a lot yes sir, no sir kind of a thing. Like you stand up when your boss gets in the room and things. I didn't feel that it was more personable that way. In America, I've worked long enough, so I think you can build a good relationship with your boss. And I feel as if you can, if you have that relationship, you can be open with your boss, and you can say things that may not be, very, welcoming. I didn't feel that when I was working in Bangladesh. And again, I worked like 25 years ago, so I don't know the kind of things right now, but it is different. It might be the same now. I don't know. Ashik bhai, maybe you have
I worked at the university. It was very, very casual and friendly. That the professors, senior teachers, they really took care of us and guided us. So that environment was very nice. But then I know my brother has an office in a software development company in Bangladesh, right? Their environment is very much like ours, very open. friendly, and everybody's hanging out, playing ping pong, and very much like US, right? But then again, that, like you said, yes, sir, or they would address you as sir or madam, right? In Bangladesh, and in here it's mostly casual, right? And you call each other by name.
Yeah.
Think about that, call everybody by name, not bhai or sir or dada, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, my biggest shock was, when I started working here, my boss, he came to say hi to me and I stood up and he said, why are you standing up? So I realized that you don't, you just, sit and continue. In Bangladesh, I remember when your boss or manager walked in the room, everyone stood up.
Exactly.
That was a
We
little
will
bit
stand
different
up.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when our teacher come to the class,
Zia
right?
video on করছে?
Siava, you
Zia
want to
কি
say
কিছু
something?
মনে হয় না, ও হয়তো ভুলে অন করে ফেলছে।
Oh, I just have it on for no reason. Sorry about
আচ্ছা
that.
ঠিক আছে।
No
No
problem.
problem.
I just wanted to add.
চেহারাটা দেখা যাচ্ছে না অবশ্য।
Yeah, I just wanted to add something quickly. I mean, of course, it's a lot more friendly here in USA from a work environment standpoint. But at the same time, professionalism is important, right?
Yes,
Professionalism is
yes.
part of your relationship, right? So sometimes in Bangladesh, the jokes that you can make with your colleagues are probably not welcome here in USA, right? So there is a fine line there. So you of course have to have a close relationship with your colleagues, with your mentors, with your supervisor, or even the people that are working for you. But at the same time, you have to remember that you cannot always make certain jokes, right, that are not welcome in the work environment in USA. So that part is also very important.
Yeah,
I know we are talking longer on this subject, but I want to add one more thing. If you are in Bangladesh and coming to USA and when you started work here, keep that in mind. Timing is very important here. If a meeting is scheduled at 11, that means you have to be there at 11. It's not 11:10, 11:15. So from transitioning from Bangladesh to USA, I think these things is very important. Make your commitment. Whenever you have a commitment to go somewhere on time, please do that, especially in the professional setting.
We can probably have one more question.
Yeah, we have actually one more question here. What is the best way to communicate or deal with a person who is competitive mode most of the time? For example, my supervisor.
A good one. Who will take that?
A good one.
We'll start and then you guys
Yeah,
help me.
Who can deal
is
with
good,
Putin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, from my point of view, I have experienced this in the past, and I have team members who are like this. I have senior engineer who is very competitive, very demanding. And to be honest with you, look at the positive side of it. A lead or supervisor being competitive, but I don't know what you mean by competitive. Is it something that the supervisor is always saying he is better than you or she is better than you, and whatever you submit is not satisfactory?
Sorry, Ashraf, to interrupt. I think he picked up on the conflict presentation. In there, competitive falls into assertive, a very assertive supervisor. How do you deal with that?
Right. Okay. Thank you, Shumba. Maybe you can add after I finish this because we have the content. So I take it personally. I take it positively. So the team I have 4 teams, right? One of them, the lead is very competitive, and that team is actually thriving the most because the lead is really guiding the team members at their best. So I think you would tag along. You don't have to be as good as your lead. You can always try your best, and eventually you'll get there. I think take it positively. Take all the feedback your lead is providing to you, work on it, make yourself better. I think you should take it as a challenge. You're okay, and then on the other hand, right, if the supervisor is really giving you a hard time, even though you're doing your best, you be open with your direct leader and express. Your direct leader will give you opportunity to give feedback, for your supervisor at some point. So try to be very specific and constructive on giving you feedback. So your direct leader will take those feedbacks, and then that direct leader will help you and your supervisor to work it out effectively among yourselves and the supervisor. So it happens, it's normal. Don't take it otherwise or negatively. I think you should think about the positive side of it. This is good to have a supervisor who is competitive. Shun bhai.
No, I think you covered it pretty much. It's if somebody, the problem is if somebody is using their position to impose a bad decision or direction for the subordinate, right? That's a problematic situation. But if it is just a very demanding the boss that wants things done in a certain way, what can I do? As a subordinate, I can bring up my pros and cons of something and present it to him that, look, these are the downsides of the direction you are trying to go. But if you still want me to go, I'll go. But, these are the downsides, So you have to do your homework and be able to defend yourself, in those type of situations. So I think, once in a while you will have such bad managers, the person, he can explain, if that's what we are talking about here, who did it come from? The question.
Yeah, actually, I asked the question.
Yes. Are we addressing your question properly?
Yeah, I got some idea like how to deal with it. Actually, I'm a PG student. First year PG student. So actually, my professor is kind of competitive. Like I worked a lot in the lab. I try to fulfill his demand, but always he says that like I'm not working here. Like he wants more from me. That's why like I can't fulfill his demand. Like I work a lot, I work day and night,
Wow.
but I can't make him satisfied.
Rob, one of the suggestion, maybe you make a short note of every week, whatever you achieved that week, to give him some objective. That's the work you do throughout the week, and maybe a hint of what's your plan for the next week, what you can achieve. So give them some objective, like instead of saying I'm here all day, I'm working a lot, give them some objective, like what actually you did, what portion of the work you did. So that might help him understand you better.
Yeah, that's
present him with some data. As engineers, we always talk about data.
Yeah.
Data is key. Provide evidence and then also time. You can say I spent this much time on this much time on that. I will give you another, related, where I'm emphasizing on. Maybe, if you see your supervisor positively, that supervisor trying to stress you and then find the best out of you. Okay, so from that point of view, when you do what Sister Afroza said, provide data, your supervisor will find opportunity. Okay, you spend this much time on this or that much time on this, maybe you can do it more effectively. Maybe you don't have enough information. Maybe I should help you on this and that. So that's how you can build that relationship and focus on where you can improve even more. Or otherwise, you're giving them confidence that, yes, you are working on things and this is the evidence.
Yeah, thank you.
Should we take one more questions or it's almost 1 o'clock?
I think we are running out of time, right? So
okay.
Yeah.
So we
can have
take
another session.
Yes, we will have another session, and also if you guys think, you can send us email or question in our Facebook page. We will try to answer those.
Yeah, please let us know if you have any other question post in the Facebook event page. We'll go over those questions and try to answer those. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I would like to inform one more thing. If you liked this event today, we are going to do more webinars every month, actually once in a month. So if you want to know about those webinars, please register in our Michigan mi.abea.org. We will let everyone know via our website that we are hosting the next webinar, what is the topic, when is it going to happen, and everything. So yeah, that's what I wanted to let everyone know. And thanks everyone for joining us. The recording will be available in our website later today or tomorrow.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
You too.